Well, hello everyone. My name is Adam Broderick. I am the owner of the Adam Broderick Salons and Spas. Our big location is in Ridgefield. We have a second location in Southbury, Connecticut. I've been in business in this town since 1986, so almost 35 years. And my intention is to walk you through, from an informational standpoint, some of the decisions and the things that we went through when we were aware of the coronavirus being a much bigger entity. I'll try to be brief, but I will start in January. My husband and I usually take a big trip, and we were in Myanmar and Singapore early January. And in Singapore, they were setting up for Chinese New Year and all of the lanterns. It was just a magical time. We left before New Year happened, but it was interesting to see all the preparations. At that time, we were getting a little bit of information about this flu-like symptoms that were happening in Asia. And although we discussed it briefly with the other 5 people we travel with, but never really gave it much thought. Fast forward to coming back and starting to hear more and more about it on the news. By early March, it was pretty apparent that this pandemic, which it wasn't called at that time, was going to be a pretty big deal. And so about 4 days, we actually closed on St. Patrick's Day. That was Tuesday, March 17th. But about 4 days prior to that, I was really starting to get concerned about the implications of closing the business. And it's a lot, we're not a huge business, but we're a very large salon and spa. In both locations, we have a total of 185 coworkers. We're open 7 days a week, almost 15 hours a day. Our business model is prestige, high-end. We do everything really well. If we're not the best, we're certainly always strive to be one of the best. So everything that we do usually gets a lot of detailed consideration before we jump in. So my husband and I, who is the CFO of the company and my partner in business, started talking about, if we closed with all of these coworkers, how would we support them and how would we be able to manage a closing, which would essentially put people out of a job. And although we have many, many different people, different age groups, we certainly have a lot of female hairdressers, stylists, some of them single moms. So as I started to do more and more research working with my HR department, it became more daunting that this may become a reality. We decided amongst ourselves that we had enough accumulated PTO, paid time off, which was a couple of $100,000. And although we usually take that out of cash flow, we were in a position to make sure that we could make that available to people. That would be some short-term resources. And also, would we be able to offer some short-term loans or advancements so that people could pay their bills? And we did the math and worked on it for a couple of days, and we had a plan that we thought we could self-finance some of the initial shock and not have people out of work, because that was our biggest concern. I also called unemployment and looked at benefits that might be available, and we had a fairly good plan, and we're confident that this would not be an ideal situation, but it would be something that we could support our team, at least short term, and figure out the rest as we had more information. Never ever thinking it was going to be a long-term closure. So that brings us up to St. Patrick's Day, which is a Tuesday, and we usually have our managers meetings. By the weekend, we were starting to get questions from clients and coworkers whether we were safe, was were we planning on closing. So we had made a decision, I had made a decision that we were probably going to close, but I got all of my leaders together and we had a 4-hour brainstorming, which was looking at getting every department's advice and deciding whether we should or would close. And if we did decide to close, what would that mean? And how would we have to divide and conquer to make sure the closing was seamless? So in hindsight, now it seems like it was relatively easy, but it was an agonizing process. And at that meeting, by the end of it, we had decided that that day, Tuesday, would be our last day in business. Everyone, our leadership team is about 12 people, from HR, spa manager, salon director, retail vice president, marketing, and then other various distribution, reservations, hospitality. It's a pretty big team. We all weighed in, and then at the end of the meeting kind of took off in our separate ways to begin the business of closing down. That did go fairly seamless. Coworkers and clients were not really shocked. We were one of the first to shut down, but there were other businesses that were already starting to shut down. And I believe it was by Thursday that it was a state mandate that everyone was going to have to shut down other than essential businesses, which we is arguably, by our client's definition, is an essential business, but certainly wasn't thought about that by the state. So at that time, we really thought we were going to be closing down for 2 weeks and basically changed our voice recordings and did an email blast and started sending out communications to our team and to clients that we were going to temporarily close down and we would be back and, pick up from where we were. But we didn't have a lot of information, but we knew we were doing the right next step. With that said, fast forward as we closed, it became apparent that it wasn't going to be 2 weeks, that it was going to be extended. And with that, we started to talk about the fact that we had trained clients over years to depend on us, to rely on us for information, guidance, and certainly physical spa, beauty, wellness services, and all their retail products. So we made a decision that if we were going to be closed for longer than 2 weeks, we would have to at least be available for communication. So we set up some voicemails, some phone lines, info at Adam Broderick, and started to staff the building with just key essential people. We usually never had more than 5 people in the building at any time, and they were in different parts of the building. So our Ridgefield location is 2 floors, 12,000 feet. Our Southbury location is about 5,000 feet. And we decided that we would offer clients the things that they needed, which were limited home hair color options, some retail items, and any other advice or information they needed. We also gave some clients some information on home hair color. Even though the country was closed down and a lot of the world, there were many people that still had to go to work, and some of them were on Zoom calls or whatever. I had a client call me, this is a true story, and she said to me, Adam, I don't know what to do. I've been coloring my hair for 30 years. My husband doesn't even know that I color my hair. You've got to help me. So we acquired some safe but effective home hair color products, and we started out the business to ship out and fulfill orders more on a temporary basis, but we wanted to give them an option to feel better, but we didn't want to give them options that would short-term help them out, but long-term ruin their hair or create a bigger problem down the road. So we offered some semi-permanent solutions. We did video conferencing and phone conferencing, and over the course of the next 7 weeks, sent out well over 600 packages of retail and home hair color products to clients. We answered thousands of communication requests, and really went about the business of getting the salons ready for reopening. Again, it sounds funny now, but we were really in a state of not knowing, and I decided to draft a letter to the governor and to our selectman, Rudy Marconi, and certainly to Mayor Boughton, Mark Boughton, and Danbury. So it went to Hartford and then our local selectmen, and I offered to help in ways that I wasn't looking for any notoriety or any compensation, but I felt that there was a big gap in the information that was coming out to personal care businesses. I have many, many friends in the salon industry. I'm vice president of Intercoiffure. I was involved in the startup strategy and worked for Alter, giving guidance for the first 13 years they were in business, worked with P&G. So I had a lot of corporate experience that I thought if somebody needed the help, I would be willing to at least handle the personal service salon issues and try to get a more granular information about what we needed to do to safely reopen. Rudy Marconi called me and graciously asked me to join on to the committee, the Reopening Ridgefield. And although I do feel that my input was helpful, I also learned so much about government and collaboration and the leaders in Ridgefield that banded together to really have a common interest, which was the good of the residents of Ridgefield and the local business community that supports Ridgefield. So we did that. We met a couple of times a week on Zoom meetings. Everybody got an opportunity to share their concerns and input. And we had real estate people like Steve Zemo, Win Biddle, and Jerry Lewis from the town. Rudy was on, and a number of other people, Kim from the Chamber of Commerce, and we all collaborated and came up with more specific information. While that was going on, I was meeting with salon leaders across the country because of my involvement in the industry and getting information about how they were doing their job and getting ready for reopening. At that point, my husband, who has a background in software, identified digital thermometers that were able to read without touching people. You'd walk up to it, and it was the only technology that could identify somebody's temperature with the mask on. And we bought them. They were very expensive, but we felt like if we were going to reopen, based on our point of view and our business model, we were going to do it better and over-deliver on any level we can. We also planned on a lot of physical alterations to both locations. We sourced hospital track, had it impregnated into the ceiling, and had custom plastic sheeting dividers made beautifully to really give the appearance of more safety and more control. Those came out really, really well, but when I was ordering and drawing them, I thought, oh my God, we're going to turn our salon business into a hospital. At the same time, we purchased electrostatic fogging machines, all kinds of disinfectant. My team was all required to go to Barbicide and take some online certifications. You know, it just never ended. The leadership team met every day on Zoom, and we went over all the aspects of reopening, from wearing masks to texting in your car before you came in, not having beverages, closing our beverage services. And the big one was when the guidelines came in, the state said no blow drying. They felt the blow drying would add a lot of extra movement to the air. So with all that said, we put all those things in place and opened up 4 days after the mandate, which was June 20th. With a very limited staff, we decided we were going to crawl before we walked, and because we were on 2 shifts, opened up with 5 service providers in each location, got our sea legs and learned. What I learned about the reopening was clients were so grateful. and our coworkers were so willing to come back and get involved that it really was pretty seamless. We had a couple of bumps in the road. We've been open now 2 weeks, and spa or personal services are planned to open this Wednesday. We're going to open up on Thursday with a limited number of nail technicians, waxing specialists, and some massage therapists, all wearing masks, face shields or protective eyewear, and following our strict guidelines. I guess I could go on. I think I've spoken too long already. It has been frightening, jarring, a unique, surreal moment in time. But I can tell you that my phrase that I coined was PTG, which is, I believe, all of us have experienced a very positive effect, which is post-traumatic growth. And we have, instructed everyone when clients come in to not really focus on the negative parts, but some of the positive aspects of being kind of ripped out of your normal life and learning to accept a new normal, as is said. And we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm good in crisis, and if your intention is right and your heart's in the right place, this too shall pass. We know that this is going to be something we're looking at in our rearview mirror. By the time you're looking at this, you're definitely looking at it as a historic event. But I can tell you, with all of the oddities and surreal properties, it has been an impactful, life-changing event that I'm not sure I wanted to go through, but now coming out the other end, I feel like we have learned so much about each other, human nature, and how vulnerable we can be in certain areas. So thank you so much for your attention, and I was honored to be asked. Thank you.